Mr. Messer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a formal statement, but in the interest of time, I'd like to, with your permission, submit that statement and then try to get to the essence of my question. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sure, there's been some dialogue earlier about the Affordable Care Act and its sometimes intended and unintended consequences on our economy. I think the Chairman mentioned there are already 13,000 pages associated with that, pages of regulations associated with that bill. This week, the superintendent of a school system in my district came to me. His name's Dave Adams at the Shelbyville Central School System, and raised the issue with me that the challenges the school system is having in the calculation of what a full-time employee is and how that might impact their budgets, and specifically how that might impact teachers' aides, people who work between 30 or 40 hours a week but do that 9 months a year. His estimate is that under the proposed definitions in the Act, it would cost this school system, a town of about 15,000 people, $794,000 in a time where they're very strapped with budgets. This, of course, is not something that just impacts schools, and I'd like to raise my first question to Mr. Timmons, if I could. How will the health care laws, the Affordable Health Care laws, mandates and penalties impact employers and their employees, and what steps are employers taking to mitigate the potential harm from these provisions?
Well, I'm only on page 4,692 of the regulations, so I can't give you a direct answer to that. But just suffice it to say that manufacturers were fairly disappointed with the outcome of the Affordable Care Act. We supported the goals of reducing the cost of health care, and we supported the goal of increased access, and unfortunately, there were a lot of other things added to that bill that made it quite expensive. Manufacturers, 97% of manufacturers provide very robust health care benefits for their employees. So for us, it was not that large of an issue or a change. Unfortunately, what's happening now, and I can't answer your question because I think manufacturers are looking at the cost-benefit ratio of the law and what they're going to be required to do to keep the plans that they have in place right now versus moving away from employer-provided care and into the new system. I can say that manufacturers would prefer to be able to provide these benefits to their employees. I mean, it's something that we're very proud of. It's something that employees appreciate, and it creates it's part of that good, healthy working relationship that employer and employees have in the manufacturing community. So I have to unfortunately get back to you on what they are planning to do, but I can tell you that they're evaluating it.
Okay, well, I appreciate that. And very quickly, Secretary Fornash, appreciated your testimony and very eloquent about the successes in Virginia. I just wanted to ask the question, is this an issue that you're aware of? Do you have any thoughts on the impact of the requirements and penalties of the Affordable Care Act on education institutions in Virginia or elsewhere?
We're still evaluating the implications of the Affordable Care Act as it relates to education, and in the process of working on some guidance to our state agencies. In the Education Secretariat also have our higher education institutions, which employ a tremendous amount of part-time staff, as you can imagine, on the auxiliary side, student affairs, residence life, dining, those types of things. So that's obviously a concern for the employees of those operations, as well as our state-operated museums, who hire a lot of wage, part-time, seasonal employment. So these are definitely issues that we're in the process of evaluating and working on some guidance to better understand and issue to our state agencies and institutions of higher education.
Well, thank you. Mr. Chairman, I mean, clearly at a time when schools are strapped for cash, and we just had a dialogue just a second ago about the challenges they face, I think this is one more challenge that are being piled on schools. Thank you.
Gentleman yields back. Mr. Court.